At times like this, when many of us are unable to see each other in person, it's obviously been a very difficult 12 months for many of us today. It's really, truly nice to see the energy of our portfolio companies and the energy of our greater Armory Square Ventures community. And it's also fun to imagine what life will be like in hopefully just a few months from now when we can see each other in person in the not too distant future. So before we go to the next section, I just wanted to note that although this earlier section was videos, we are now participating in a live event. We have a very large audience with us today. And although everyone is muted and, and their videos are off, we will actually open up the Zoom to show everyone who is participating with us today. So we will only show presenting speakers for the core part of the presentation. We'll open up the Zoom, and then we'll basically conclude with the toast. So please be prepared to have your cocktail glasses ready for the toast. So let's go to the next slide, Jackson. So I always like to start any presentation with our team slide. We truly are really, really lucky and blessed to have an amazing and talented team here at Armory Square Ventures. We try to utilize the strengths of all of our team members to leverage their backgrounds in sales, product management, technology, operations, and operating experience in numerous industries too. We have every one of us working now with all of our portfolio companies, and we expect to grow in the coming months with additional team members, including a few venture fellows we'll be hiring. I did want to note some bittersweet news. Our senior associate, Alfonso Aguila, recently accepted a position at a startup in his hometown of Miami. He started with us over 2.5 years ago. And the good news is he hasn't left the world of venture capital. He'll continue to serve with us as an advisor, and we will be replacing his role in the very near future. Alfonso, thank you so much for joining today's virtual event and for all your great work over the past few years. We wish you all the best in this next chapter of your career. So let's go to the next slide. So here is a snapshot of some of the key events that took place since the June 2020 annual meeting, which many of you attended. We were excited to have announced an investment in June in Real Eats, and Real Eats basically provides fresh restaurant quality sous vide style meals that are heated up in minutes, often in 6 minutes or less. And as Dan will basically go over later, the company has seen just incredible growth. The company saw 300% year-on-year growth, as of just a few weeks ago, is at a $17 million annualized net revenue rate. And we're just excited about the team, the market, and the opportunity. And I'll let Dan and Eric talk more about this later. We're also giving you a preview of an investment that we first started talking about earlier in the summer, but that we are thrilled to finally be investors in. It's a company called UCM Digital Health. Keith Algazine is with us today, and John and Keith will have a fun discussion about what UCM Digital is up to. As a reminder, UCM provides a digital front door that allows both health plans as well as self-insured employers navigate their care, whether it's virtual or physical. The company has shown strong growth, did over $6 million in revenue last year, and we're really excited to be leading the company's first venture round. The next slide, please. We also wanted to talk about, some key events that have taken place in the Armory Square Ventures portfolio. And here we actually have just a few companies highlighted from Fund 1. ACV Auctions is obviously a company we're very excited about. The company raised a $55 million Series E1 financing led by Durable Capital Partners. That was part of a larger $100 million equity and debt round. And ASV was one of the larger equity investors in this round. The company also hired Bill Zarella, the former CFO of Fitbit, as ACV CFO. On a personal note, my good friend Vikas Mehta, who we helped recruit as COO from Silicon Valley, he was formerly on the C-level team at a few divisions of eBay. I'm happy to say he's still doing very well there. I think he's on the call today. I'm going to embarrass him and show the gift he sent me in December for Christmas. Actually, let me see if you guys can see it. This is the Bills AFC East Division Championship football. And I guess the reason I'm showing this to you is that Vikas and his family are now diehard Bills fans. I promised Vikas that I will join him in Bills games and the entire ACV team in Bills games. I also bring this up because I think the success of the Bills this year foreshadows the revival of Upstate overall. So I want to thank all of you at ACV, George, Vikas, Dan, Joe, and the numerous other employees you have now across the nation for being such an important part of upstate New York ecosystem. We've been really lucky to be partners with you along the way. And I see some Go Bills signs here, which I'm glad there's fellow Bills fans on the call today. So for Bento Box, as a reminder, this is a company that provides food and hospitality technology to restaurants. This company saw over 70% revenue growth in 2020. This is, let's just like take a pause here. This was literally a company that was serving restaurants, which, as you know, was shut down en masse during the pandemic. And yet the company played a key role in supporting restaurants and helping them grow. The company raised nearly $30 million Series C financing led by Goldman Sachs. That is nearly double the valuation of the Series B round. And then we have ClarioVision, also from Fund One, which ultimately has made a lot of good progress in commercializing technologies in its 3 different product categories, which are in various areas of ophthalmology, from a cornea product to a contact lens product, as well as an IOL product that's ultimately helping people see more clearly. We're very excited about this company, and the company just closed on nearly 12 million of a Series E round at nearly over 100% step up in valuation. On Fund 2, it is worth noting that all our ASV2 companies have grown during this past year, shown exceptional retention, and hired some amazing talent as well since our initial investments. We're excited to have played some part in helping our CEOs in recruiting some of those people. 2 of our companies in Fund 2, Realeats and Jorsec, are raising growth rounds as we speak. And instead of me walking us through those companies, we'll let the CEOs tell their stories later on in the program. So now I'm going to actually turn it over. I'm going to go into some of the key investment themes. So, one of the things that, we really like to talk a lot about when we discuss, how the markets are, impacting our own investment strategies is that we see a few key themes emerging. First is a theme of, the haves and the have-nots. We've been very fortunate that, throughout the history of ASV, each one of our companies has actually attracted follow-on capital. We've been excited to play some part in helping those companies attract that follow-on capital. In many ways, we consider ourselves a feeder fund to the largest funds in Silicon Valley and across the industry. But what we are seeing happen right now is a very odd environment. There's an environment right now where, especially in Silicon Valley, companies are raising rounds at record paces. And companies' rounds are being preempted in some cases, literally days or weeks after an initial round closed. We're seeing a lot of attention coming to our portfolio too, so we're definitely all benefiting from that. But we do believe that there are 2 different worlds at play right now in the venture market. There's the world of Silicon Valley, and then there's the world of the emerging tech hub regions. So there is definitely a bifurcation by location. We're also seeing the rise of everywhere, something we touched upon at the June annual meeting as well as earlier, but we're continuing to see that trend grow. The pandemic has really accelerated, the migration of many people from Silicon Valley to many areas across the country, and we believe our companies are well poised to take advantage of that. We're going to continue to stay disciplined. Our success in pricing risk and making sure we have companies that are ultimately going to, scale and attract a follow-on remains a key focus for us. And so we will continue to be very prudent and choose our investment wisely. And we feel we've done a pretty good job of picking companies. We're not going to be right all the time, but in general, we're very, very happy with having that disciplined approach. And so now I'm going to turn it over to actually the slide about the goals for 2021. We're going to basically have, kind of 3 key things that we're going to be talking about this year, focused on this year. One aspect is continue to develop, initiatives that will allow us to continue to build our portfolio in Fund 2. We're launching a Ventures Fellows program, a regional talent network, and we're also doing thematic deep dives to allow us to proactively find companies in a variety of industries, from auto tech and B2B marketplaces to digital health and cloud infrastructure. We are targeting, another 4 new portfolio companies over the course of this year. And we're focusing still predominantly in New York State, although we are opportunistically looking at a few companies that leverage our networks in adjacent geographies. And we're going to continue to grow and harvest our portfolio by helping our portfolio companies scenario plan, manage the runway, and ultimately for the companies that are more mature, prepare for a very healthy exit environment. So now we'll basically go to the next slide, where I'll basically have Steve Felsher talk about the state of the markets. Steve?
And that's probably one of the more difficult things to do with the dynamics that are going on. I will not talk about GameStop. I will not talk about why cryptocurrencies, at least Bitcoin, was down 13% earlier today. But I will talk about the sort of general markets and what we're seeing, and end up with how it might impact our portfolio going forward. Expectations for another large stimulus round are supporting evaluations, and to some degree, continued speculation in the markets. Corporate credit spreads and absolute yields are at all-time lows, while equity valuation metrics continue to be, even the last few days, reversals in the 90+% valuation metrics. There's an element of TINA going on here, which is there is no alternative if you want some return on your money. Inflation expectations clearly are picking up after record levels of monetary stimulus, but long-term inflation expectations, at least the ones that I hold, remain fairly similar to where they have been over the last couple of years. Reason being is that there is inflation that will come from the stimulus packages, but the inflation will be restrained by record levels of both corporate and sovereign debt, which will constrain long-term growth. One of the more amazing things that we've seen, as noted here, is SPACs. And SPACs, the reintroduction of SPACs at a pace that we've never seen before. Last year, $120 billion of new SPACs were floated, while last month we saw the flotation of $26 billion of new SPACs, and new SPAC deals at record heights being announced virtually every single day. SPACs are different than normal investment pools. They are use it or lose it, which means that they will have fairly quick impact on the M&A market, which in turn will have very, very important implications for markets that affect us. The SPAC money will be in competition with large pools of private equity funding that's out there, and that should increase prices and also increase deal focus on companies which may not be ready for IPOs or advanced stage deals. It should also drive private equity funds more into late stage investing in the venture world, where they haven't historically been that important. And it will drive further investments into the venture field in deep tech. And deep tech like electronic vehicles or long-term medical and drug research projects. The implications on our portfolio is that there might be more opportunities for people to have interesting exits through IPOs, through SPACs, through venture capital, and a number of our companies will obviously, or clearly, I should say, be encountering SPACs in the future. Furthermore, SPACs should drive more investments to earlier stage, which should make it easier, we would hope, for our portfolio of companies to find follow-on capital and to invest in their future. And hopefully it should drive more interesting companies into the venture world so we can look at companies and invest further. These are topics that are of great interest to me. I don't have much time to go into them here, but if any of you ever want to talk further about these, please let me know. I'm always available. I will now turn it over to Pia, who will lead to the introduction of Adam Sachs and for a wonderful and entertaining and informative few minutes with Adam and Somak.